So what is it? A set of instructions written to perform a particular task is a method known as method, and which is classified into predefined and user defined. And the two types of methods are nothing but instance method and static. Instance depends on object and static depends on class name. And every method has two properties. What are the two properties you can say? First is a return type, second is parameter. So what do you mean by this return type or parameter? Consider I'm having a method subblock. You can say a method is nothing but a subblock. So what you are saying? We are saying it as a return type, method, and parameter 1 to parameter n. Suppose if I am writing sum, in this sum if I am having int a equals to 10, b equals to 20, c equals to a plus b, then return what you are trying to return here, c, right? So here c is of integer type, we have declared here. We know that c is integer type, but when you are transferring this value from the subblock, compiler can't remember that c is an integer. So we have to specify that sum is a user defined block which is transferring a type of value. What type of value you can say? Integer type of value. How to specify that? Before the sum, we just specify the type, return type you can say. So if c is integer, we have to specify it as integer itself. It's entirely depends on the c data type itself. Suppose if the c is long, so what's happening here? C is of what type now? Long type, right? So here you have to remove this integer, you have to specify long. So now if the same C is a float type, so again you have to specify instead of long, float. So what's happening here? Whenever we use a return keyword, that variable is transferring some type of value. So the type of value must be specified before the method. That is the return type. Now if it is int, again it will be here int itself. That is the return type entirely. And in the same way, if suppose I'm not returning any value, return keyword is not used here. I'm just displaying that particular C value. So we have to tell the compiler that C is a variable of type integer, but we are not returning any value from this sum. So if you're not returning any value, we have to use a keyword known as void. Void means returns nothing. No value is getting transferred from this particular sum block. Means based on the situation, either we return or either we keep it as void if you're not returning any value. So what is the scenario? I'll give an example for that. Okay. So here if you have given void before the method, now you can't use return keyword. If you want to write return C, it's not possible. You'll get error now if you write return C, because no value will get transferred when you write void. Void means returns nothing. Okay, no value is getting transferred from subblock to main block. And these parameters in the parentheses, if they are empty, means it is without return type. No parameters are specified in the subblock, right? Actually, there are two things. One is main block, one is subblock. The values are getting transferred from main block to subblock to main block. So what are the scenarios you can say? Only two scenarios are there. If you want to say simply, one will be with return type. With return type. So one value is getting transferred from sub block to main block. So whenever I say return, like C, the value is getting transferred, not the name actually. C is not getting transferred. Inside C there is some value. That value is getting transferred from that sub block to the main block. Main block is nothing but the method where we are calling this particular sub block, or you can say user defined method. Okay, so this is with return type. Now one more scenario is that with parameters. In these two scenarios only the values will get transferred. Apart from these two scenarios, the values will not get transferred. Okay, so here with parameter means what? N values getting transferred from main block to sub block. Like from main method, if some values are getting transferred to the sub block, at this scenario we have to use with parameters itself. Okay, so here based on these two properties, the return type and the parameters, we classify the methods are of four types. The user defined methods are of four types, or predefined methods also you can say, based on the properties. So based on properties, the methods are classified into four types. So what are the four types we have? First is a method. Consider a method is there, right? Without return type. First we'll consider it as return type and without parameters. We'll see an example, then it will be clear. So here I'll write a program for this particular scenario where method without return type and without parameters is shown. Consider, I'll take an example of a restaurant and a customer. If you see here, two things will be there. A class restaurant and a class customer. So the public static void main is written in one class. So which is the important class here, you can say, among this restaurant or customer? A customer is important for a restaurant, right? Yes, customer is important for a restaurant. Like without customer, there won't be any use of a restaurant, right? So the public static void main is written inside the customer itself, right? Now if a customer is going, I'm just explaining the concept of methods in this example, so don't think logically, just take the concept of without return type and without parameters, that's it. So the first thing what you do when you go to a restaurant, simple thing, when first if you enter into a particular restaurant, you see the menu card, right? So what is it? We just have to write a method menu. So you're not giving anything, like customer is not giving anything to the restaurant and restaurant is not giving anything to the customer, right? So here in this scenario we have to use an example of method without return type, like sub block is not transferring anything to the main block, you can say, and without parameters. For example, just mention it, like method without return type means no value is getting transferred from subblock to main block. So when you write this particular without return type, that is void. So for example, if there is without return type, we have to use this void keyword, right? And we can say menu open and close parentheses because it is without parameters, right? So what do you mean by without parameters? No values are getting transferred from main block to subblock, right? So these are the two scenarios you can say where void menu has been written. So if you see here, if I write a menu method here, just open and close parentheses, I am opening the flower bracket here itself, closing the flower bracket here itself, so that you don't get confused. Now in this I'll write a set of instructions. You can write according to the requirement, right? But as for now, I just take a small example like system.out.println. What does the menu consist of? Just I'll display like starters, main course, and the dessert. So who is writing this thing? A menu method is written by the programmer. So this entire method is known as a user defined method, which is present in restaurant class. And customer is a class which consists of public static void main, that is also string args as a parameter, right? So the first thing what we do inside the main method, we create object. So here two classes are there, restaurant and customer. For which class we have to create the object? Like restaurant class, we have to create the object. So we just have to write restaurant, some restaurant name, like I am taking Oris. So Oris is a restaurant name equals to new restaurant. So what's happening here? This is a memory allocation. Like here, if you see, I'll just take a memory block known as RAM. In that, whenever I create an object, the memory is getting allocated in heap area. So here in heap, when you create an object of Oris, a memory block is getting created. So here this step creates a memory block. Now Oris is pointing to the hash code of a memory block, right? So here some hash code will be there. So how to identify the hash code? Just print this particular Oris here. Like here system.out.println. What you can say? Oris, right? Now I want to call the menu method. So we need a restaurant object. So already we have created a restaurant object known as what? Oris. So here Oris is a object where dot is an operator which differentiates the menu and the Oris. Understood? So here Oris.menu will execute this particular method. Okay. Now if I save this particular program, what I'm trying to save? I'm trying to save it as a restaurant or customer. Okay. So here in the D drive you have programs. In that I'm saving it as what? Customer.java. Now what is that? D drive series space programs. I'm saying dir. Dir indicates the directory of that particular folder. where you have a particular .java file known as customer.java. So how to compile that? Here d colon cd space just I'm saying how to compile that, right? So java c space, what is it? Customer.java. So when you compile, a dot class file will get generated. When I say java space customer, you'll get this particular hash code. This entire thing is a hash code where restaurant at the rate unique sequence will be there, right? And this unique sequence is represented by the particular ORIS object. You can understand that. Is it? ORIS object represents to this particular restaurant object. Now, after seeing the menu, what we do generally, we place an order, right, to the restaurant. So what's happening here? Customer is giving orders to the particular restaurant class. Means from the customer class, the values are getting transferred to the particular restaurant. Okay. So for that scenario, we can use method without return type and with parameters, right? So what is the example you can take? Customer is giving the order, right? So you can write void give order, and here the parameter must be mentioned. Any parameter, like here what you are passing in the methods we have to pass the starters or the main course, means these are in the string. So either you can write it as what? String parameter. So string order. So that's the second method. Like what you have to write here, void, what is that method name we have taken? Give order. String order. It's a slightly different thing that return type is not there means void. Return type like parameters are there means in this how many parameters you want you can have it. Like for suppose if I want to call, how to call it again? Oris is an object. Dot again a method name. What's the method name? Give order. So in this give order, what is that? If you keep it as empty, what will happen? Here there are no values transferred. Whereas here how many parameters are there? One parameter, right? Whereas for the previous program there is no parameters. Yes or no? So if you just say oris.menu, then what will happen? It won't return anything, right? And after that oris dot give order. So what is that give order parameter is there? String order, but I'm not giving any value. So if I just compile now, as the parameters are different, it will give error like required string format, string parameter, but found nothing. Here required is string, but found what? No arguments. So the reason is nothing but actual and formal argument list differ in length. Means here it is 0, here it is 1. So what do you understand? Here in this particular give order, I have to give the value. Either I can use a scanner. By using the scanner, store it in a variable, that variable is passed as a parameter. But here I am discussing about the methods concept, so I am avoiding this particular scanner. If you want, you can try the same program by using the scanner concept. Like here, what do you write? Starters. So what's happening here? Only one parameter is there, that's why I'm passing only one value. Now I just write system dot out dot println order given. So whatever the order we have given will get printed, right? So here, whatever the starters I am giving, it will be taken as a parameter and send it to order. And that string is given, based on that string, it is printing the order, right? So this is transferring the values from main block to sub block. For a scenario, here you can have two parameters like order 1, string order 2, means two parameters. Here we have to pass two values like starters and the main course. Two things you can say, like here again order given is 1 and plus, and what is the next thing you can say, order 2, right? So here if I compile this thing, it's getting compiled. So now if I run this part, what's happening here, order given status and the main course, right? So whatever you write here in the double quotes will print as it is, and in that particular variables whatever the value is there, that particular value will get displayed, right? So one is starters, you can say, one is main course. Two parameters are there. But suppose I'm having only one parameter now, I'm not using two. But how many parameters are declared here? Two. How many values are passed here? One. So again the arguments differ in length. So again error will be coming. Required are two parameters, whereas found only one parameter itself. Like here customer. So what's happening here? Required is nothing but two strings, and found, what is it? Only one parameter. That actual and formal arguments list differ in length. So to overcome that, what you're trying to do, if here only one value is getting passed, then here only one variable must be getting declared. That's it. Just you can say it as what? Order. So here, just saving the program. Again I'm compiling, I'm running. So order given is what? Starters. This is the most important point. You will be using predefined methods. So first you should know what are the return type of the method and what are the parameters of a method. How many parameters are there? All these things you have to take into account. Okay? And after this, if you are giving the order, based on the order the food will be getting served, right? So for that reason, the method with return type and without parameters must be used. Okay, so here for example, what I'm trying to do, I'm saying a restaurant is a class from which a value or the food served is getting transferred to the customer class. So now from sub block the value is getting transferred to the main block. In this scenario you have to use this particular return type. And what should be the return type for string? If string is a parameter, then the return type should also be a string, because whatever we are passing from the main block, the same value will get transferred from the subblock itself. Means here you'll be having a method known as string as a return type, and after the string we can say serve food, open and close parenthesis, because there are no parameters in this particular without parameters concept, and string is the return type. So only string type of value is getting transferred from main block, sorry, sub block to main block. Okay, so here you can say it as what? String serve food, open and close parenthesis, close them properly. Next we can write. If you are writing means you can't use return keyword, right? So what we'll do, we'll say just return what I want. I want starters, right? I'll just return it as what? Starters. It's not that you can't declare a variable. If you want, you can declare the variable and then in that variable assign the value, and after assigning you can transfer the value also. Okay, so here return starters means this method will return starters type, right? So what do you understand by this? Here we have to call the method. What's the method you are calling? Oris dot serve food. So what is it? Oris dot serve food. You have a parameter, right? Or without parameter? If this particular parentheses are empty, it indicates without parameter. And if you are having a return type instead of void, then you are transferring a value. These are the basics, right? So next here, if I compile this thing and run this part, I'm not getting any food served answer because I'm just returning the value. Where is the value? The value is going from subblock, from this block to this particular serve food. That is the subblock to main block. So I'm saying in this line the value is there. So how to display that? There are two ways. Like here, you can declare some string, right? And that string can be anything like name. String name. So whatever the name is there, that name you can display here. System dot out dot println food served is, what you can say, name. If you just compile this thing and run, what is happening? The food served is getting printed here. When you are assigning the value, I'm saying in this line the value is there, assign the value from right side to left side, print the variable, right? This is one way. Or if you want directly, just I'll remove this entire thing. In this, instead of the name, we can use this particular oris dot serve food. Okay, so what's happening here? I just reduced the two lines of code into a single line. If I save this thing, compile and run, I got the same output. Yes or no? So here, whenever the return type is there, the return type methods can directly be printed inside the system.out.println. But the same thing I can't do for the given give order or menu. Why? Suppose consider here I'm giving the same thing to menu. right? Just oris dot menu. If I compile here again, what will happen? It will give error. Void type not allowed because I'm trying to print the particular sum value. Sorry, what is it? Void cannot return a value. So this oris dot menu can't return. So I can't use the system dot out dot println here for this void type of methods, that you have to understand. Whereas when a method is returning a value, like here return keyword is used and the return type is there, for those methods directly you can use the system dot out dot println. That's the point. Okay, and the same scenario you can consider for a bank. Suppose if you go for a bank, that bank, first you won't give anything, like I want to take an account, so we will use void fill form. You are filling the form, right? So this is what, without return type, without parameters, the first one. Now after filling the form you have to submit the proofs, like then customer is giving the proofs to the bank, means from the main block the values are getting transferred to the sub block. Second scenario, like bank is not giving anything, so void, and you're giving the proofs, right? So what you're doing is submitting something, so give proofs. Here again parameters, that is according to your requirement. If you think it's string, string id proof, and string address proof. You can't give the space, you can give only the underscores, right? So this way the second method will be there, that is nothing but without return type and with parameters, right? That's the second type of parameter. Now after you submit the proofs, after verifying, the bank will give an account to you. So what is happening here, that bank is giving something to you means string, or you can say, you can take it as a long also, because account number will be getting transferred, right? So if you want you can take it as long, right? And long, what is it? Give account. So this give account will be getting executed. This is with return type, without parameters. Without return type, multiple parameters, and without return type, without parameters, right? In the same way for the last one, how to consider that? If suppose I want to have a loan, I want to get loan. So for getting the loan, what do you have to do first? You have to submit the surety. So string surety, and when surety is given, you will get the amount. So amount can be in integer or the long or in the float or the double, your wish, any type you can take, right? So what is the return type? Integer, method name, and the parameter. So this is the last step, right? Method with return type and with parameters. Means, for example, I want to pay the bill. So you need to have an amount, right? So the parameter will be in integer or a float, you can take, your wish. Okay. And here after paying the bill, they'll give the receipt. So what is it? This is method with return type and with parameters. Both the things are present here. So in this scenario, I'll just show you how to write that. Pay bill int amount, right? Open and close. So here the return type must be again string. because the requirement is about string itself, right? It's not mandatory to take that return type as string. Based on the requirement, you have to specify either string, float, double, long. It's up to the requirement itself, right? So now system dot out dot println. What do you have to write? The total bill, how much it has been. Total bill. So next, whatever the amount you are given, it will be taken. And based on the total bill, will be given a particular string or that string paid. I'm not going for a logic here. I just want to specify that when is the scenario you have to return from subblock, and when is the scenario you have to pass the parameters from main block to subblock. Those scenarios I am discussing. That's it. So here again, when some method is returning, you have to use system.println, because here directly you can print them like bill. What happened? You have paid or not? So how to call this thing? Again, oris dot pay bill. And how much is the amount? Some 560. Right? So close this particular thing, close the parenthesis and give the semicolon. Now save the thing. So this is with return type and with parameter. So what's happening here? Is it the spelling or what? Yeah, the bill, we have written one L extra. It can't understand what is bill. The same thing, cannot find symbol. If you write something which the compiler can't understand, cannot find symbol. Either the spelling mistakes or the case sensitive things will rise to this particular error. Okay, so if I just compile that thing, just run it, what's happening here? First thing, we have seen this menu. After seeing the menu, we are given the order, the starters, and the food is getting served, which is the starters you have given, that starters are getting served. And after that you are trying to calculate the total bill. Based on that you are giving the amount and the bill is getting paid, right? So in this entire scenario we have seen four types of methods. One is without return type, without parameter, no value is getting transferred from restaurant, no value is coming from the customer. Next, without return type, with parameter, like from main block the values are getting transferred to the sub block itself, right? And the last, method with return type without parameters, if we are keeping it as empty. With return type means what? Only one value can be transferred, not more than that, and that is transferred from subblock to main block itself. That's the scenario. And after that, when you have a return type and parameters, means with return type, with parameters, customer is giving the amount and restaurant is giving the receipt. So that is give and take. Okay, and the same thing you can see it for a bank also, but the same thing we have followed, right? So this entire thing is a methods concept. Four types of methods in Java. Okay,